In the early 20th century, while most architects sought pristine materials for their masterpieces, Antoni Gaudí was collecting broken ceramic tiles from factory waste bins. This seemingly humble practice would revolutionize architectural aesthetics and help define Catalonian cultural identity. Today, we explore Trencadís, the remarkable mosaic technique born from discarded fragments that transformed Barcelona's skyline and continues to influence art and architecture worldwide. Join us as we uncover how broken pieces created some of the world's most enduring beauty. Trencadís emerged around 1900 in the narrow streets of Barcelona during a period of rapid industrialization and cultural renaissance. The term itself comes from the Catalan word trencar, meaning to break, a fitting description for this distinctive mosaic technique. What makes Trencadís remarkable is that it wasn't merely an artistic choice, but born from practical necessity. As Barcelona's ceramic industry boomed, so did its waste products. Antoni Gaudí and his contemporary Josep Jujol pioneered this approach, seeing potential where others saw only garbage. They began collecting colorful fragments from local ceramic factories, broken tiles, plates, and cups that would otherwise be discarded. These visionaries transformed industrial waste into one of the most distinctive art forms of the Modernist movement, creating a visual language that would influence artists and architects for more than a century. What makes Trencadís particularly fascinating is its democratization of materials. In these mosaics, expensive porcelain from renowned manufacturers might sit alongside humble everyday ceramics on the same surface. This jumble of origins created vibrant, textured surfaces impossible to achieve with traditional tiling methods. Gaudí would often visit factories and workshops to collect their discarded materials, sometimes even deliberately breaking excellent ceramics to achieve specific colors or shapes needed for his designs. The resourcefulness extended beyond ceramic tiles, broken champagne bottles, coffee cups, and discarded household items all found new life in these extraordinary mosaics. The irregular pieces caught light differently throughout the day, creating buildings that seemed to shift and breathe with changing sunlight. This approach represented an early form of upcycling, decades before environmental sustainability became a global concern, demonstrating how creativity can transform waste into wonder. Perhaps the most photographed example of Trencadís is the famous salamander sculpture at Park Güell. This iconic creation features fragments of vibrant ceramics alongside pieces of glass that catch and reflect sunlight, creating a shimmering effect that brings the creature to life. The salamander embodies the playful yet sophisticated nature of Trencadís' work, a seemingly simple sculpture that reveals extraordinary complexity upon closer inspection. Each scale and contour is meticulously covered with fragments chosen not just for color, but for how they catch light throughout the day. The salamander demonstrates how Trencadís could transform a functional element, in this case, part of a drainage system, into a work of art that has become synonymous with Barcelona itself. This colorful guardian has welcomed millions of visitors to Park Güell, becoming one of the most recognizable symbols of both Gaudí's genius and the distinctive Catalonian architectural identity. Trencadís wasn't merely decorative, but solved genuine architectural challenges that Gaudí and his contemporaries faced. Traditional flat tiles simply couldn't effectively cover the undulating, organic surfaces that characterize Gaudí's biomorphic architecture. The technique allowed artisans to cover complex curves, columns, and sculptural elements that would have been impossible with conventional materials. The application process itself required remarkable skill and innovation. Artisans would press fragments into wet mortar or cement, carefully arranging pieces to maintain consistent spacing while following the underlying form. For Gaudí's Park Güell benches, workers applied fragments upside down onto paper templates before transferring entire sections to the curved surfaces, a technique remarkably similar to modern prefabrication methods. This innovative approach allowed for precision in what might otherwise seem like random assemblage, demonstrating the sophisticated engineering that underpinned what appeared to be purely artistic expression. Perhaps most impressively, Trencadís proved extraordinarily durable in Barcelona's variable climate. While other architectural finishes deteriorated over time, these mosaics have weathered over a century of exposure with minimal degradation. The technique created waterproof surfaces that were easily cleaned and resistant to the urban pollution that was beginning to affect European cities at the turn of the century. The technical aspects of Trencadís represented a unique fusion of traditional craftsmanship with modern industrial materials. The cement substrates that supported these mosaics were innovative for the time, allowing for unprecedented structural freedom. Gaudí's workshops became laboratories where artisans experimented with different binding agents, spacing techniques, and material combinations. They developed specialized tools for breaking ceramics in controlled ways and systems for categorizing fragments by color, size, and texture. This systematic approach to what might seem like chaotic assemblage demonstrates the rigorous methodology behind Trencadís that contributed to its remarkable longevity. Beyond its practical applications, Trencadís embodied profound cultural significance for Catalonia. The technique emerged during an intense Catalonian cultural revival known as the Renaixença. During this period, the broken fragments carried symbolic weight, representing the piecing together of Catalan cultural identity from disparate historical elements. The technique's emphasis on recycling and transformation mirrored Catalonia's own reinvention during this period of rapid industrialization and cultural awakening. Unlike the rigid symmetry favored in Madrid and other European capitals, Trencadís embraced irregularity, organic forms, and vibrant color combinations that reflected Mediterranean sensibilities. This visual language helped establish Barcelona as a center of architectural innovation distinct from the prevailing Beaux-Arts classicism. The color palettes chosen for Trencadís' works often reference Catalan landscapes and traditions, the blues and greens of the Mediterranean, the earthy tones of Montserrat Mountain, and the vibrant hues of local festivals all found expression in these mosaics. The political dimensions of Trencadís cannot be overlooked. During a time when the Catalan language and culture faced suppression from the centralized Spanish government, architectural expression became a form of cultural resistance. The distinctiveness of Modernisme architecture, with Trencadís as its most recognizable feature, asserted Catalonian identity without direct political confrontation. Wealthy Catalonian industrialists commissioned these buildings not just as homes and workplaces, but as statements of cultural pride and regional distinctiveness. Even the irregular, organic forms reflected Catalonia's natural landscapes rather than the geometric precision favored by Castilian architecture. These buildings became powerful symbols of Catalan identity at a time when more direct expressions might have faced censorship. The fact that these structures continue to define Barcelona's identity more than a century later speaks to the enduring power of architectural expression as cultural resistance and the role Trencadís played in preserving and celebrating Catalonian heritage during challenging political times. While most closely associated with Park Güell and Gaudí's other Barcelona masterpieces, Trencadís spread beyond Catalonia through artistic exchange. Variations appeared in Art Nouveau buildings throughout Europe, later influencing mid-century modernists like Le Corbusier, who admired Gaudí's organic forms. The technique experienced a significant revival in the late 20th century through the work of artists like Brazilian landscape architect Roberto Burle Marx, who incorporated Trencadís-inspired elements into his public spaces. Contemporary architects, including Friedensreich Hundertwasser and Antoni Gaudí's successors at the Sagrada Familia, have continued developing the technique. This global spread demonstrates how a distinctly Catalonian innovation transcended its regional origins to influence architectural and artistic expression worldwide. The organic flowing lines and vibrant color combinations pioneered in Barcelona's Trencadís works can now be seen in architectural expressions across continents, a testament to the universal appeal of this uniquely Catalonian technique. Today, Trencadís has transcended its architectural origins to become a popular medium for community art projects worldwide. Its accessibility, durability, and capacity for incorporating salvaged materials make it well-suited for public installations and urban beautification efforts, continuing the democratic spirit that characterized its origins over a century ago. The technique has found particular resonance in community-based restoration projects in Barcelona itself. As tourism has brought unprecedented attention to Gaudí's works, local artisans have developed specialized conservation techniques to preserve historic Trencadís surfaces while maintaining their authenticity. Workshops throughout the city now teach traditional methods alongside contemporary adaptations, ensuring that this uniquely Catalonian craft continues evolving rather than merely becoming a historical curiosity. Community centers, schools, and public spaces around the world have embraced Trencadís as a way to create beautiful, durable art that engages participants of all ages and backgrounds, allowing communities to literally piece together their own identities, just as Catalonia did a century ago. In an era increasingly concerned with sustainability and material reuse, Trencadís offers a compelling historical precedent for creative recycling in architectural design. Contemporary architects and designers have rediscovered the technique not just for its aesthetic qualities, but for its environmental benefits. Today's practitioners create modern buildings that incorporate waste materials into beautiful, durable surfaces that tell stories through their very composition. The principles behind Trencadís align perfectly with contemporary circular economy concepts, taking materials at the end of one life cycle and incorporating them into the beginning of another. Modern architectural firms have adapted the technique to incorporate contemporary waste streams. Everything from broken electronics to plastic waste has found new expression in Trencadís-inspired applications. These contemporary adaptations maintain the spirit of Gaudí's innovation while addressing modern environmental challenges, demonstrating how a century-old technique can remain relevant in addressing today's most pressing design and sustainability issues. The application of Trencadís requires remarkable skill that continues to be practiced today. Modern artisans working on restoration projects for Gaudí's buildings must understand not just the aesthetic principles, but the technical foundations of the technique. They must select materials with similar properties to the originals, prepare surfaces properly, and apply fragments with the same spacing and orientation as the original artisans. Gaudí's workshops develop specialized tools for breaking ceramics in controlled ways to achieve specific shapes and sizes. They created systems for categorizing fragments by color, size, and texture, creating an organized approach to what might otherwise seem like chaotic assemblage. Contemporary conservation specialists have had to reverse engineer many of these techniques by studying the original works. The craft involves understanding how different materials weather over time, how to match historical color palettes, and how to ensure new work integrates seamlessly with century-old surfaces. This preservation of traditional knowledge alongside technical innovation ensures that Trencadís remains a living art form rather than merely a historical curiosity. Perhaps nowhere is the continuing evolution of Trencadís more evident than at Gaudí's unfinished masterpiece, the Sagrada Familia. Here, contemporary architects and artisans continue Gaudí's work, using traditional Trencadís techniques alongside modern innovations. The fruit-top spires feature extensive Trencadís work, with vibrant ceramics catching the Mediterranean sunlight, just as Gaudí envisioned over a century ago. Modern architects working on the basilica face unique challenges. They must honor Gaudí's original vision while incorporating contemporary materials and techniques. The Trencadís elements must be durable enough to last centuries while maintaining the vibrant aesthetic that Gaudí pioneered. The continued construction of the Sagrada Familia represents the living legacy of Trencadís, not a historical technique preserved in amber, but a dynamic tradition that continues to evolve while honoring its origins. As new towers rise above Barcelona, adorned with shimmering Trencadís surfaces, they represent both a connection to Catalonia's past and its creative future, demonstrating how broken fragments can create enduring beauty across generations. The legacy of Trencadís extends far beyond its origins as a clever solution to decorative challenges. This uniquely Catalonian technique represents the intersection of necessity, artistic innovation, cultural identity, and environmental consciousness. From Gaudí's masterpieces to contemporary community murals, Trencadís continues to demonstrate how creativity can transform broken, discarded fragments into works of extraordinary beauty and durability. The philosophical implications are profound. Trencadís reminds us that brokenness itself can become a source of new beauty when viewed through a creative lens. What was once considered waste becomes the raw material for expression that lasts centuries. As we face modern waste management challenges and search for sustainable building practices, the century-old example of Trencadís reminds us that sometimes the most revolutionary ideas come not from creating new materials, but from seeing new potential in what already exists. In the broken ceramic fragments of Barcelona, artisans discovered not just a decorative technique, but a philosophy of transformation that continues to inspire more than a century later. Trencadís represents far more than a decorative technique. It embodies a philosophy of transformation that remains profoundly relevant today. Born from necessity in early 20th century Barcelona, this innovative approach to mosaics transformed industrial waste into enduring beauty while helping forge Catalonian cultural identity during political suppression. The genius of Gaudí and his contemporaries wasn't simply artistic, but deeply practical. They created waterproof, durable surfaces that have withstood a century of exposure while conventional materials deteriorated. As we confront our own environmental challenges and waste crises, Trencadís offers a powerful reminder that sustainability and beauty need not be opposing forces. The broken fragments that adorn Barcelona's most iconic buildings demonstrate how creativity can transform the discarded into the extraordinary, how imperfection can become perfection when viewed through a different lens. This distinctly Catalonian innovation now inspires communities worldwide, proving that sometimes the most revolutionary ideas come not from creating something entirely new, but from seeing new potential in what already exists. In a world increasingly concerned with reducing waste and finding sustainable solutions, the century-old wisdom of Trencadís reminds us that transformation, not disposal, may be our most powerful tool for creating a more beautiful future. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for updates. Your feedback is appreciated. We hope to see you again.